hear you, Kim.
Oh, no. Really? I'm as high as I can go.
You're not muted, but you're very, very soft.
Yeah, I'm going to have to definitely go to Apple and talk to them, I think, because this isn't good.
Is your headphone plugged in?
She doesn't have any headphones.
She doesn't have a headphone? Okay, I thought maybe it was just
No,
we're hearing
no headphones.
remnants.
Nope, don't know what's wrong.
You sounded better when you got closer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate to yell, but okay.
Are you on a computer?
I am on the computer, yes.
So it might be, even though you have the volume up, maybe check your Teams volume, because sometimes there's two different volumes, or the actual sound with internal mic, external mic on your computer. Sometimes they readjust. So that might be it for next time.
Okay, yeah, because it's frozen right now. I can't make it do anything. So,
Oh, you sound good.
but I'm here, so that's good. So, all right, the minutes from our last meeting. Would someone were there any questions, concerns? All right, should we make a motion to approve the minutes?
I approve.
Thank you, Annette.
No.
And a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Great. We have 3 people presenting this evening. And I don't know, Stacy, if you would like to introduce.
Well, we could go around and do introductions. I could call everyone's name so they could do introductions so everyone
sure.
knows who's present.
That sounds great.
Okay, so I'll start with Annette. Annette, can you hear me? No?
I can hear you now. I'm sorry, I'm driving.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're just doing introductions really quick.
Hi, Annette Scully, parent.
Adriana?
Adriana Ramirez, Connecticut Family Support Network and family member.
Stacy?
Hi, I'm Stacy Dawes. I'm the Health Service Director in the North Region.
Ether?
Hi, I'm Heather Diaz, Executive Secretary, supporting Stacy Silva.
Dawn?
Good evening, everyone. Dawn Fry. I am the Assistant Regional Director over the private division here in the North Region.
Gloria?
Hi, everyone. I'm Gloria Jones, Director of Health and Clinical Services.
Kim?
Hi, Kim Little, parent of Ellen Little.
Ellen?
Hello, I'm Ellen, daughter of Kim Little.
Mary Lou?
Mary Lou O'Connor, parent of Ann Margaret O'Connor.
And Patricia?
Patricia Ruska. I am the Assistant Technology Director for the Department of Developmental Services.
Rick?
Rick Rothstein, father of Spencer Rothstein, who has been a heart client since early 1991 and had other services, respite and so forth before that. Past chair of the board at HARC and past member of the Council on Developmental Services.
And Tammy?
I'm Tammy Sellinger. I'm parent of Brian Sellinger, who is in a JCL CLA group home, and my daughter Jody, who will be entering a JCL group home as well in the very, very near future, probably in the next few weeks.
And I'm Stacy Silva, the Regional Director for the North Region. Okay. Let's see. Stacy and Gloria, I'm going to give you the floor.
Okay. Gloria, you want me to start or you want to start?
Go ahead.
Okay. So tonight we just thought we would just come together to talk a little bit about what services look like for some of the individuals and how to best support individuals coming to the Department to our agency. And then Gloria, I'll let you go into the DNR process and advanced directives, if you don't mind. So basically, it starts, when a loved one or individual comes to the department, we really want to start out with kind of the nurse being involved in that IP process, getting to personally know who your loved one is, who the individuals we serve are, and kind of starting out with questioning them as far as what they like, who they are, what their goals are, what their dreams are, what their plans are, because we really want to be able to capture that individualized plan of care, and to have the input of the individual and or their loved ones if they can't, if some are not able to verbalize that. So that's pretty much a big piece of it. And then looking at the plan of care. So once all of that information is gathered, there's an assessment done by the nurse. Pretty much want to know what their strengths and weaknesses are. What can the individual do for themselves? Because the goal is to keep them as independently as possible for as long as possible. So whatever skills that they may come in with, we try to hone into those, build strengths around those, and allow the individuals to participate in their care as much as possible. Starting with maybe just a general assessment, just to go through their diagnoses, the nurse going through their medications. Every individual will have a self-med assessment and a participation of their self-med assessments. So we really want that process to be very inclusive, even if it just means, learning their medications or getting their water, setting up, to whatever degree that they can participate in. So it's very inclusive, and individualized. And then the plan of care with the diagnoses, obviously, whatever services that individuals have when they come in, we kind of, it's keep what's in place there, their treatment providers that's familiar with them, um, and just kind of developing that plan of care and then educating the staff around the plan of care, what's in place for those individuals on their task and whatever they need to take care of them. So I'm just going to stop right there. I don't know if anyone have any questions. Okay.
I have a quick question.
Ellen?
Ellen, quick question. I'm sorry. What if they can do this by themselves? Like because I'm home by myself or with mom and dad, I have meds in my room that I can take by myself. Do I just tell the staff that I can do this on my own, or I
So that's great.
self-medicate? Like I can do my own vitamins in the morning, or I can take my meds in the morning and at night.
So you would be able to continue to do that. That's a
Okay.
great question, Ellen. So you'll sit with the nurse because the nurse will be the one to kind of determine that. So you'll be able to communicate that to her, have your medications, you'll go over them, and you'll just be able to demonstrate to her, the names, the times, the names of your meds, the time you take them, what they're for. And then you guys can develop that plan together. And then depending on where you are, certain things can be put in place for you to be able to continue that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Question. Does
Tim.
that take place when she lives, when she moves into residential placement?
Yes. So
Okay.
everyone in residential would have to have, that's part of an annual assessment. So that self-med assessment is done at the time of admission and then on a yearly basis just to make sure that nothing changes.
So if I do that by if I took my medicine, they wouldn't be like, "Oh, Ellen, you can't do it by yourself."
No, you can do it by yourself, but they may ask you to, because you lock up medications until medication times, and then they would take them out for you, and then you would be able to do your own meds. But they would have to be secured though in a secure place.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's understandable. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Quiet.
So that, Gloria, I'll
Quiet.
let you,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Yeah, it's quiet tonight,
Oh, okay.
but thank you. That was very helpful. So our next presenter would be Gloria.
Hi, everyone. Gloria Jones, Director of Health and Clinical Services. And one of the things I wanted to share with you is to just share about the process that DDS has for DNR or do not resuscitate orders. And so why is that important? We have a Connecticut general statute, and the purpose of that is so that the commissioner of DDS can make sure that no medical decisions that will change the effect of whether we do CPR or not do CPR on our individuals occurs without a proper review. Because many times medical providers or hospitals really don't know you. They don't know our individuals. They don't know what their needs are. So we want to make sure that we take care of the individuals that are served by DDS when it comes to do not resuscitate orders. And so there's several things that are important to know. And so why is that important? Because we really want our individuals and families to be able to make the decision for life-saving measures on your own, preferably in advance of an emergency situation. Just making a decision, what would you like to happen if something were to happen medically to you? If your heart were to stop, if you didn't have a blood pressure, if you had no pulse, what would you like and what are your wishes? And one of the things that process happens through the case manager who has that conversation. We like to get to know, like Stacy was saying, we want to know, what do you want? What are your needs? What works best for you? How can we work together? It's a community, it's a family, and we want to make sure that we're meeting all of the needs that you have. And so it's important to be able to bring up the conversation about this. Not everyone is ready to discuss that. My mother was 91 years old, and I was asking her about that, and she said, I don't want to talk about that. And that's okay, because we're all at a different place for planning for our end of life measures, and that's fine, and we respect that. And so that's the why we do that, because we want to protect our individuals from different providers or hospitals making those decisions for our individuals. We want to make sure that we can review all of the questions that come up. And so how does that happen? And so some of the things that we do request the upfront, excuse me, we do request information from the providers. For example, in a hospital, your medical provider, or maybe a specialist who's taking care of you. We request specific medical information to find out why they think and why they are in agreement with either you as an individual or with your family members, why you'd like to pursue the do not resuscitate order. And so we're looking for specific medical information related to chronic disease, end of life issues, or concerns that you may have. And so we're evaluating the information that is sent to us to be able to help make that determination with you. Normally, the discussion starts really upfront with individuals and families, with case management, sometimes with nurses, sometimes with providers. And it's really a joint decision, but the final decision is really up to individuals and families. And so when does that happen? It really could happen anytime. It could happen during an annual review or a quarterly review, just having the discussion. What would you like for end of life measures? What are your wishes? We want to make sure that your wishes are written down and that we keep them on record for what you would like us to do should something happen, should an emergency come up. And we want to be able to support those decisions when and if that time should come. And so that's really, in a nutshell, what the DNR review process is like. So what would happen is, like I said, the doctors would talk to the guardians or the individuals. Many times individuals will have advanced directives already in place, or a healthcare representative who helps make medical decisions. And we utilize those people and work through those people as well. If someone has a healthcare representative making decisions, For me, my son is my healthcare representative. And so he has a document that he knows where to get it if he needs it for whatever reason, if I'm not able to make a decision. And so that's the purpose of having a healthcare representative in case something were to happen where you might rely on that person to make the decision. And the other thing is having a decision about a living will. A living will is basically a document that says, if something were to happen to me, these are the wishes that I have. Do I want to have CPR, compressions on my chest? Do I want to have artificial breathing? Do I want a tube in my throat for breathing into my lungs? And it's very specific for the wishes that individuals have. And so that would be clarified and gone through should someone decide to have something like that with the case manager, with families, with providers. And that's a discussion that can happen at any time at all. I encourage my children actually to make a decision for what they would like and what their wishes are, because I think it's important to be able to make your own decisions, and so that if you do get to a point where you're not able to make the decisions, they've already been decided for you. Any questions on that process that you'd like to ask me?
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Say that you had a couple of questions. One is if you had a DNR decided on, and maybe a year goes by and the person is now admitted to the hospital and things have become very serious. Is there would there be a long period of time that you would need to wait until everyone was in agreement? Or would that be done quickly?
Just to clarify, Kim, your question was if you had a DNR already and went to the hospital. And so if the DNR is in place already, the hospital would actually follow the DNR that's already written and in place. So there would be no delay because it's already in writing.
Good. I had a cousin who had an issue with her brother, and that is that he was in that situation. His parents had a DNR on him, but they passed. So once they passed, because she was not, she was not the person, I guess, listed to make that decision at that time. It was a long process. So just being very aware that when there's changes made, to make sure you get those changes done.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for bringing that up, Kim. That's a great point, because many times we may have legal guardians who do pass on, or something happens and they're not able to fulfill that capacity. And so at those quarterly meetings or at those family discussions, it's important for those kinds of questions to come up or those discussions to come up. And so early on, a decision can be made if it's in a court-appointed guardian. We could petition the court to have it changed to someone else.
Okay.
And we would keep those documents on file as well.
Okay, thank you. That's
You're
great.
welcome. The other thing, just to add to that too, say someone, or if you've decided you had a DNR in place, but you're doing really well, you're having some great years, things are going well, you can change that at any time.
Okay.
So you can change it, and if you decide down the road you want it back, we can work with you to make that happen as well.
Thank you. That was great. Tammy?
Yeah, when you started, you mentioned something about having discussions with the doctors and so on. Do the doctors have I got a little bit confused. It sounded like the doctors have a say in what the decision is, as opposed to just being the family members that can decide about the DNR.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Tammy, the doctors don't have a say in the decision, but they would have a say in the discussion with the family who will make the decision, or the guardian. And so they may have the discussion saying, this is the medical condition, this is what's going on, these are some of our recommendations, but really, what would you like us to do?
Okay, I was under the impression that it was the doctors and DDS discuss it, to
No,
be able to
no.
give the family permission to go one way or another. So, okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Great clarification there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Ariana, I'm saying it wrong. Ariana.
No, you're okay, Kim. I know
Okay.
they set me up that way. So
Okay.
Adriana Ramirez. Now I just had a quick question. Gloria, I don't know if you mentioned it, but how often is the DNR reviewed with the IP yearly, or because sometimes people forget what families tend, you could forget what you said or what you have in
Sure.
place. You put things in place and years go on past and you may think you said things could change and you think one thing and if you don't update the paperwork. So I was just curious if there's like a mechanism or certain timeline that parents or families or caregivers or whoever's involved that is brought up again just to confirm that this is the current status. Because with my mom, I know I had the conversation with her every 6 weeks and it never changed. So, but it's good to do because you need to keep that updated to hopefully honor their wishes.
Sure, that's a great question. So it is reviewed annually. And it could also come up in discussion at quarterly meetings or quarterly reports as well. But there is a document that we tracked every year where we update and we check with the family to see, is this something, or the individuals, is this something you'd like to continue? Any thoughts on this? Great question. Thank you.
Can I just add to, so in all the regions, the regional health service directors, we do keep a database. Well, we keep a statewide database for all individuals with a DNR, and we also keep a file. And we do require, every quarter, the nurse or a case manager during that quarterly review, there's a DNR quarterly review sheet that gets reviewed at the IP. And it's just say basically if there's changes, you check yes, or if there's no changes, you check no. And that kind of helps us update our files because a lot of times we might get a call, let's say from the hospital, confirming that. So we do keep a record of that.
Thank you, Stacy.
Any other questions? Thank you, Gloria. That was great.
You're welcome.
I think our next presenter is Pat.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to talk about assistive technology, something that I love very much. Today, I'll be talking as not just the director, but also as a daughter, friend, and how I live with assistive technology, and a mother also, and how assistive technology works in my life. So I've got a little bit of presentation. I also wanted to talk about how you can use different assistive technology products together to make a very pleasant experience. And I'll let you hang up. Okay. There we go. Okay, so empowering families. An overview of practical guide to assistive technology at home. There's a lot of ways you can put assistive technology together. So it's very convenient. You can use it for security, energy, efficiency. And here are some of the ways. So just imagine yourself waking up in the morning, you have your alarm, and you set your alarm to play music. Maybe for a couple of years, I had What a Difference a Day Makes, which was a great way to wake up. I recommend it highly. And then you have smart lights, and you set the smart lights so that they go up gradually as the sun rises. Or perhaps you have blinds, and you can set those to go up gradually as the light comes in. And of course, having a coffee maker that you set the time to. It's just a good way to wake up. So you've looked at, you have all this technology. If you start putting them together, you start having different experiences with them. Medication disbursement. The product on the lower section here, lower right, I actually use that product with my father. he has dementia, early onsets of Alzheimer's. And the medication is quite a problem. It really is. When I first went over, he was taking his medication all different kinds of ways. And I could tell. And as soon as we got him right, he got better, you know. These machines are wonderful. They really are. If you're looking into them, though, know how many medications you take. This particular machine only takes 10. You know, my dad takes 12. So those two I couldn't put in the machine. So know that. Some take more medication and some don't. Basically, what this does is in the morning when he wakes up, he hits the button and it dispenses his medication. And he takes his medication. I had to program every single pill for what time it would be taken, the dose, the everything. I had to program every single pill. And that was, you know, it took some time, but after you're done, you're done. It tells me on my phone if my father has taken his medication or not. So every time it comes up, well, Dad took his medication, I can see it, that he pushed the button. It also informs me when the medication are running low. It tells me which ones are running low. And it tells me with enough time to, I mean, more than enough time to order the medication and have them in and resupply that medication. It's really been a game changer. It's been a wonderful thing to have. The one above, it's a different kind. What this does is it'll open up according to the time. So let's say it's 8 o'clock, that's when you take your meds. That particular pocket will open up at 8 o'clock. Then those medications are the only ones you'll be able to take out. If you don't take it, an alarm will go off and it'll start to get louder. Some have lights, some have different things. These, some can notify, they can send a notification to people, some can't. So you really want to meet the needs of the individual. If it's someone who needs that extra check-in, like my dad needs me looking at it. He may not think so, but he really does. He needs me knowing that he took his medication and reminding him when he doesn't. And also the filling of the medication. Just that's something that's gotten very confusing for him. So some of the other ways that you can put technology together is, you know, coming home. Let's say you have a smart lock. You get to your house. You can either use your eye recognition, you can use your thumb to unlock the door. Maybe you're holding a whole bunch of groceries. So you use your eye recognition, it opens the door. The smart thermometer works almost about ready to get over. So what you do is, I say, you know, I'm going to set my thermostat. So when I get home, it's nice and comfortable. You're not wasting all that energy all day. You know, smart lighting, you could have the lights go on at a particular time. Maybe it's dark when you get home. Maybe you want to go home and have the lights come on at a certain time. Again, you're not wasting that energy. And voice commands. Voice commands, usually you can command all of those. The smart lock, I haven't seen anything with the smart lock commanding it voice command. I'm sure there's one out there. But you can control all of these devices. And you can also use it just for entertainment. Just to, you get home, you want to know the news, you ask it, what was the news today? And it'll go through everything. What's the weather? You want to just unwind, you know, tell me my emails. I like to ask it to tell me my texts, and it reads me my texts, and it reads me my emails when I get home.
I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm moving out in when summertime.
Mhm.
September.
I'm moving out in September.
Okay.
Right? And I really want all this stuff. But it's like, would you come out and help us, or would I have somebody come out and like all that stuff for me?
You could have someone come out and do an assistive technology assessment. With the ARPA, I'm sorry.
Go on. Sorry, go on.
With the ARPA funds that we did a request for proposal, and we had 150 assessments done the first year and 150 assessments done the second year. So individuals receiving services from DDS could have an assessment done. There's 3 agencies that were awarded that request for proposal, and it's by, can't say region. It's actually because it's particular towns. Star is one of the providers, and they have the Fairfield area. Midstate has the West and some that are kind of in the West but don't fall under that Fairfield area. And Oak Hill, they have the North and the South. So if you talk to your case manager, they put in your name. Once they put in your address, it'll direct as to which one of those three you could go to. You can choose anyone you want, but even ones that aren't in that RFP. But your case manager will know one and suggest one. Say, hey, that you live in this town. This is the agency that's doing this town. So they'll go in and they'll ask you a lot of questions. A lot of what Stacy was saying, nursing, you go in, you talk to the team, you talk to the family, you meet the person, you see what their diagnosis is, you see a lot of it's very similar. You have to be very thorough with assessments, a good assessment. You have to be very thorough because it's so person-centered. It has to be all about the individual.
I have another question. I'm not really good with like the microwave, and me and mom been talking about this for a while, and the people that I'm moving into the housing with, they I don't think they can do it. But I see on here right now that you're gonna tell us that how to like put it to the microwave, how to put it to the oven, how to like set stuff like that. Right now, I have a fire stick upstairs in my room. I set it, if I come down and I put like a pizza in, I set it to what time I have to come back downstairs.
Okay. Yeah, these appliances are great. This particular appliance here, we have them in all of the respite centers. But they actually stopped producing this product here. I have it here because I'd like you guys to go to the respite centers if you get an opportunity and see all the technology that's in there. Because we're doing open houses. And I'm sure Stacy shared the flyer with you. The dates are on there, so please go out there and check them out and check out this appliance as well. I know they've stopped making it, but there are other devices that are similar to this and do a lot of the same stuff. You can actually see inside of the microwave on your phone what's going on with your food. It does the food according to what it is. It just does it for you. It just cooks it. It cooks it for you. Some of these devices can read the barcode on food, and it'll know exactly how much time to put in to cook that food perfectly. There's a lot of different features to these devices that would really help someone be independent. I personally don't know how much time I should put a lot of things for, and I've burnt quite a few things. I can't seem to get popcorn right either, but this would actually
either, so don't worry about that.
I've eaten so much black popcorn, and the eating disorders that I ate it. I didn't throw it away. So yeah. But yeah, these devices are great. You do have to have that knowledge on how to use it, but a lot of the work is done for you, and a lot of the guessing work is taken away. So you're welcome. On to the next. All right, relaxation entertainment. If you look at your products like the smart speaker, smart TV, and smart lighting, just having a voice activated smart speaker, you can ask it to play your music. I do that every day. There are certain musicians I just ask it to play, and it randomly plays whatever song the individual's made. Smart TV, you have the streaming, you have the gaming consoles. A lot of the TVs now are also voice activated as well. And you have the smart lighting, which you can change up yourself, or you can adjust it to you're watching a movie. You can tone it down. The picture on the bottom here, this woman with the iPhone, that's what she's doing. I set up a couple of lights in my friend's house, and it actually has different colors. So when she wants to relax, she dims it down to almost like a little yellowish kind of hue, and it just helps her relax. She can make it brighter. She can change it to blue. She can change it to any color she wants. Some, if they have like a strobe type effect to them. You want to be careful with those, especially if you have seizures. You don't want any strobe lights going off. You know people that have, you don't want anything like that going off. If you have friends or something coming over, that might affect them. And the same thing, putting together some of these products to end your night. You know, you want to chill out. You want to go to bed. You've got the smart thermometer, the thermostat, and you can have it just drop down as you go to bed, or maybe it's hot. Have the air conditioner just kind of kick up a little as you're falling asleep. You have the smart lights too. You dim or they turn off just as you're falling asleep. You set them to do that. You can set the blinds to do the same. And then security systems, being able from your bed to know what's going on. I've set up the Ring spotlight on the garage, and I've also set up the Ring doorbell. And the reason I did that is because in case my dad wanders, I want to see what direction he left. I want to see if he left if he went to the left or if he went to the right. The first thing I did after I installed it was I walked up the street and I looked at all the neighbors and I saw who had Rings, doorbells, and who didn't. So if my dad were to leave, I could ask somebody, to show me the footage, or if they'd seen him. So they also have neighborhood. Ring has like neighborhood watches where everyone in the neighborhood could see things going on in the neighborhood. So that was extremely helpful. That would be extremely helpful to my mom and I if anything ever happens to my dad. Using these devices for energy efficiency, the smart plugs, turning off the electricity and the appliances remotely, the smart thermostats, and how I mentioned before, you're at work all day, it doesn't need to be on. You can adjust it from work. You don't need to have the place really hot all day, or you don't have to have the air conditioner on all day, but you could set it, maybe an hour before you get home. Energy monitoring. There's the device over to the left, the iPhone. It's actually it's tracking how much energy you're using. So that alone can help you save money if you know how much you're wasting. Or if you know how much you're saving, you'll just keep doing it. Home safety and security, as I mentioned, using the spotlight, using the doorbell, using the cameras on those facing out. DDS, any cameras are facing out, not facing in. You'll see that if you go to the rest of the centers, all the cameras are facing outward, not inward. And also smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. Those can notify anyone that you designate to know that something's going on. They'll know on their cell phone. It'll tell them if a smoke detector's gone off or if a carbon monoxide detector's gone off, so they can help you out. Person safety with the help of location finders. This has proven to be, this and the MedMinder have been an incredible help. And sorry, I'm going to make everybody's Amazon thing go off, but Alexa has been a tremendous help too. The show has, my dad was asking the same question over and over and over again, and I could tell my mom was getting a little stressed out. If you can ask Alexa the same question 100 times, she's going to answer it. So it really gave my mom a break. That's one of the devices, I think has been extremely helpful as well. But moving back to this, you have the smart watches. They can tell where your location is. Location finders they're important. They're very important. They may be because, you need to know where the individual is, but maybe the individual wants you to know where they are. I had a friend who used to, when she used to date, she used to have me watch where she was. She goes, "This is where they'll find the body." So I'd always watch where she was. Or if I was going into a different situation, I'd have her watch where I was. So, the cell phones also can recognize your location as well. They have the tiles. The tiles I haven't used, but I know how they're used. They're, if you lose your keys a lot, even if you lose your remote control a lot, you can put one on there and you look at your phone and it'll tell you exactly where it is. They have shoe inserts as well, so it's not as uncomfortable and not being aware all the time that you have the device. There's also geofencing. So what my dad uses is is a device that he puts in his pocket. And what I've done is geofencing. What that is I've created an imaginary boundary around the house. And when my dad crosses that line, it notifies me on my phone. And when he comes back into that line, it notifies me on my phone. So one of the biggest fears is that, he's going to leave, which he did at one point, and a neighbor brought him back. So that just really put everything in the high gear and had us putting a lot of stuff into the house. When you're doing assistive technology, sometimes you can just put things in and they all work, and that's great. But sometimes you might realize that you need additional things as well. There have been a couple of things that we've needed. The extra medication that goes into the machine. My dad was messing around with those. So I got a lock with a combination. And put them kind of like almost like a rolling desktop. It's like a bread bin kind of on top of their counters. So I put a lock with a combination on it, so so he couldn't get into those extra pills. The geofencing has been tremendous. I have him put that in his pocket. He doesn't like wearing it. He does, but it is very, very helpful. I went with him. We had stopped somewhere to use a facility, and I got out and he wasn't there. I was terrified. I had no idea where he was. And I remember just this calmness coming over me and thinking, I can track him on my phone. I'll know where he is. When I walked out the door there, he was standing right there. But there's a comfort in that. So I want to mention another product here that I didn't mention, which is the glucose constant monitors, continuous monitors. My son, and I've told the story 1,000 times, so please bear with me, but my son has diabetes, and he's had it since he was 7. And it changed our lives. That device alone changed our lives. We used to get up every 2 hours and check on him. Once we put the device in, we actually slept. I remember the first night we were able to sleep. We set the alarm on the device so that if his blood sugar was too high, it would go off, and if it was too low, it would go off. That same device, one time he was extremely low, like frightening low. And he called me and he was slurring his words. I could barely understand what he was saying, but I knew he was low. Being able to see his number dropping was terrifying, but I could see where he was at. And then on my phone, I could also see his location. So those two saved his life. Me being able to get to him before the number just got so crazy low that I would have lost him. So these devices really are life-changing. If you decide you want to start easing some into your life, my advice to you is start small. Don't go out and buy the entire store and put it in. Start small and start with what you need. Don't just buy products because they're there, because they're the latest, greatest, or they do, amazing things. If they don't meet your needs, they're kind of, they're not useless, but it's not a good way. It's not a good way to invest. It's not a good investment, let me put it to you that way. And make sure that they're compatible. If you're going to get devices, make sure that they're all compatible with each other. And they don't have to be the same brand, but that they work together. And automated routines. Like I said, use the routines, the scenes to group these products, multiple actions together, for the convenience, and have fun with them. And voice commands. Get familiar with the voice command for hand-free controls. So it's going to take some talking to. It recognizes your voice. Sometimes it may not. You may have difficulty speaking, so you may have to just put a little more work into it so it recognizes your voice. I had Bell's palsy. I got it in September, and my Amazon recognized me all the time. Once I started slurring my words, it didn't understand me. So I had to be patient, and I had to talk to it so it got to know me again, with my speech impediment that I had at the time. But, so I'm Patricia Rusco, and I'd like to thank all of you for having me today and let me talk about assistive technology. I hope you guys take advantage of the of the respite centers and go in and look and see all of the assistive technology that we've put in them, and you can see how you can use them. You can play with them and, and check it out. So please do.
Patricia, you have one question in the chat. How long is a thorough AT assessment? One visit or more, or trial items? Can you provide information on those topics?
An assessment is, it's kind of like when you go to the doctor. Sometimes you're only there 5 minutes and you're like, I needed 10. And then there's those doctors that sit with you and they talk to you and you leave knowing that they met all of your needs. You're leaving in good hands. An assessment is it's kind of the same way. The person has to go in, they have to get to know what the situation is. If you need things for the home, they need to know your environment, what your capabilities are. They need to find products on particularly, maybe there's some things that the only way that you can actually do them is with a device. So they have to figure out what that is. Sometimes that device isn't even made. But if you put two devices together, or you use Velcro, or you use this, now you have the device. It's very, very customized. So to tell you how long it takes, it's as long as they need to reach understanding exactly what you need. On average, usually about 3 hours, but overall, they need to meet your needs. Any other question?
And where can you get where can you get trial items?
So there are quite a few lending libraries. Connecticut Tech Act, if you go on and you look them up, they have what they call members, and they have lending libraries throughout Connecticut. And what they are is you go and you borrow the device and then you bring it back. I think that's great. I believe in try it before you buy it, especially if it's something that isn't covered and it comes out of your pocket. Try it before you buy it. Go see, bring it home, try it out. Make sure that your child, your relative has, they have buy-in. They want to use it because it's all about them. You never get a product because you think they're going to use it or because you think it's special. They really have to want to use the product. They have to understand and feel the benefits of the product. We also, okay, I'm seeing some questions.
Thank you, Adriana. Of course, finds our useful links in there for everyone. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
And also Annette comment, we also have a garage door opener that I can control with my phone that has come in handy. I can be in another state and close my door if my son leaves it open. Very reasonable on Amazon. That's awesome.
That is great.
Thank you for that comment.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? No?
Oh. You're muted, Kim. Yes. Yeah, we can't hear you. I see. No. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm hearing something now.
Oh, you can't hear. Well,
Yeah.
I think I'm up. Ether can help us on the agenda items. I think I'm next. If there's no other future other questions. Oh, Stacy? Stacy, you're muted.
Thank you. I just need to jump off here, but I just wanted to say it was really nice meeting all of you.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you,
Thank
Stacy.
you.
It's very informative. Thank you for the presentation.
Take care. Thank you.
Stacy, you're
Okay.
next.
So I'm next. I only have 2 or 3 agenda items. Number one, I wanted to thank my DDS administrators that came to join us this evening to give presentations. I really appreciate it. The topics that came from this evening were from one of our members at the last meeting that asked how can they get their son involved in more of their medical care. So that's why we had the presenters that we had today, which I thought was very informative information they shared. I wanted to share that currently, as of February 21st, we will be decentralizing the public sector CLAs. This is coming about because public homes used to be under the regional directors. I would say about 7 years ago, the regional directors in each region provided the oversight over the public homes in their region. And the commissioner had centralized them under one regional director. He recently has made the decision that he will decentralize, and it will go back to how it used to be, which the 17 homes, DDS homes in this region, in North Region, will be under my oversight starting Friday. So that's one change that has taken place. Also, February 25th is the next Tuesday forum, and I didn't even realize this until I had looked a little bit earlier at 3 to 4:30, and that's about comprehensive medical supports in the community, and there will be individuals speaking on how they manage their medical supports in the community. So you can check that out, and it's also recorded. And as Patricia has mentioned, the respite centers are again providing demonstrations on different, technology that you can use in individual apartments or family homes. So definitely, we will resend that flyer just to bring it on the top of your emails, just in case, because I think we sent it a couple of weeks ago. And I think that's all I have. Does anyone have any questions for me? Rick?
Two questions. Does that mean the regional center is also going to be under your supervision now, the Hartford Regional Center, or is that are the regional centers staying together?
Oh, so that's a great question. So the Hartford Regional Center, yes, it's in the North Region, but that will be under Crest Saccarelli, under the South Region. And the reason for that was because my experience in the field is not in ICF, an intensive care facility. So in order to make this transition a smooth transition, it was best that Crest, who has a lot of experience with ICF, take that on, and then I would remain with all the CLAs that are in the North Region.
Okay, thank you. I have one other question, and that's kind of a technical one. For many years, the DDS budget was split between DDS and DSS. The room and board portion of CLAs was over in DSS. And there was a capital improvement process, and you had to apply to DDS first, and then it went over to DSS, and eventually there was an approval or denial, and things eventually moved forward. Now, the funding for this room and board has been moved back to DDS. And actually all the funding for CLAs is now under DDS. So is all of that process now under DDS, or does DSS still play any role in the payments to our providers?
Well, currently, just as you mentioned, the capital improvement and all those processes right now, we're still doing the same. DSS is still involved.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
At this time,
DSS is still involved.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. That's very helpful. Mm-hmm. And it's good to know that I know Crest does have a lot more ICF experience, so that's a good move too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the other regional centers in western part of the region, that will all go under Shannon O'Brien. There's one in
Yeah.
Torrington and then Lower Fairfield that will go under
Yeah.
Shannon O'Brien. Tammy?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, hi,
Hi,
Mr. Salinger.
Stacy. How
Hi.
are you?
Great.
Good, thanks. I had a question. We've been kicking this can down the road for a long time, and maybe you might have a little clarity for me on this. When DDS gives the money back to the state because they couldn't use it, it's mentioned that ARPA funding was the reason for it. That it's not a normal situation. Is that correct?
Well, I want to say that we received an extension on the timeframe to utilize ARPA funding. And, Dawn or Patricia could correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe we were provided an extension to utilize the funding.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. We have until June 30th to spend. It depends. There's different categories of ARPA funds. Some are March 31st and some are June 30th. So right now we're still trying to push to ensure that we spend that money. We're encouraging providers to submit and make sure that they are utilizing these funds the best that they can. We don't want any to go to waste. We don't want to give any back.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good questions. Adriana?
Adriana Ramirez. I was just following up what Mr. Salinger said. I was just curious, are you talking about this time or last year when DDS had to give funding back? When you were asking?
Oh, I'm asking about the going forward in the future budget.
Okay, thank you. No, I was just trying to understand. Thank you.
Yes.
If there are any more questions, definitely feel free to email me or call me with any suggestions for topics that you want to learn more information. Earlier, we had a discussion in regards to staffing and the private sector. And I would definitely think it's a great idea for us to have Mary Pat back with us to, give us updates, what she's working on with the committees, because she is working hard on a lot of different committees and with the governor to kind of help assist this resource issue that we're all having, private or public, we're all having. Okay. Ether, next.
Stacy,
Oh, go ahead.
Kim asked me to take over because she's having computer issues.
Okay.
You should just said next is legislative update. If you have anything.
Do I have anything? This is called silly season. I didn't coin that term. It's there's a radio host that used to say that who's not on the air anymore. So we are in the heart of the legislative session. The governor has presented his budget to the legislature, and it is being rolled out to the public through a series of hearings that have already commenced. The DDS hearing is on Friday. Commissioner Sheff and whoever he brings, he usually brings the whole team, will be presenting to the health section of the Appropriations Committee at 11 a.m. And then public hearing starts at 4 p.m. In order to speak at the public hearing, you need to register by 3 p.m. tomorrow. And the information for that is, I'm sorry? I didn't hear. So to speak at the public hearing, and you can speak either in person or virtually.
Oh, it's feedback from Kim's computer for some reason.
Okay.
It's feedback.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rick.
You need to register by 3 p.m. tomorrow. And we look forward to seeing many of you there on Friday, either virtually or in person. The DDS budget, well, and all the nonprofit budgets for that matter, include a 3% increase in each of the next 2 years. 3% in the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 25, and ending June 30th, 26, and then 3% in the following year. The timing of that, which is, it's never straightforward. Half of it will be made available on January 1st, 2026, and the other half will be made available at the end of fiscal 2026. And I'm actually not exactly sure how the 3% for the second year goes, but you can comment as to, these will be rate increases. So the agencies will be able to determine, the private will be able to determine how they best want to use those funds. They can use them for staff enhancements. They can use them for other operating expenses, which we all know because we pay our electric bills are going up all the time. So that is the main part of the budget. There is some funding for emergency placements, a separate line item. And then in the second year of the budget, there is a major funding push for the waiting list. I believe that number is $30 million. Now, the legislature can decide to keep that. They can increase it. They can decrease it. They can move it around within the parameters that are permitted under the fiscal guardrails. Yeah, that would be very welcome. But unless Mary Pat and the private providers and DDS with their internal staffing are able to increase the amount of available staff, those funds will never get used. So, or only part of them will get used. So we've worked very hard over a long time to raise the attention on the waiting list. DDS has been doing what it can with the funding that it has, but this would be a real shot in the arm. So that's really a summary of the DDS budget. And you can always send in testimony, and there's a link for that as well. If you testify virtually or in person, you can testify and then send in your written comments separately. You don't have to say the same thing verbally as you send in. I get trapped in this. I wind up reading my testimony and then sending in the same thing, and it does get a little dry. Other things that are going on, there are bills in public hearing right now for supported decision making. We had a presentation here about 2 or 3 years ago by our then chair, and supported decision making is being introduced into our statutes under this proposal in order to provide an alternative to guardianship. So for many of our individuals, I'd say, in my opinion, most of our individuals, guardianship is probably the right answer, but there are a number of people who don't agree with that here and around the country. So if someone is relatively high functioning, then and can make their own decisions, this allows them to contract with individuals or organizations who would give them advice, and then instead of the guardian making the decision, the individual with IDD would make the decision. So everyone, assuming that passes, everyone will have to consider what they want to do. Some states have eliminated guardianship, and that would be terrible. And because there are people who can't make the decision on their own because they don't have the capacity. Other things that are floating around, there's not directly related to us, but there's the legislature on Monday is going to approve $40 million in this year's budget for the current year budget to help with special education costs. And the legislature is going to work on more special education aid during the session, but this is a shot in the arm to our communities. And everyone has special education costs, and many communities are struggling because of the high cost of particularly out of district placements, which can be in the next town, it could be in the next state, but those can be pretty steep. So it's a good thing. So what else is happening? There is a public hearing on Thursday in the Labor and the Labor Committee. It's the annual bill to eliminate the subminimum wage for people with disabilities. This is an annual effort that comes up. The legislature who introduced it every year has left the legislature, but someone else picked up the mantle and put the bill in. And during the long session, the odd years, any legislator can submit a bill. It then has to go through a committee process, but if someone has a wild idea, they can just submit it and it gets screened in or screened out. So we do have some people that still work at sub-minimum wage, getting a wage based on their performance. So if they perform at 50% of what an individual does, who is, quote, normal, then they would get paid 50% of the state minimum wage. And if they can perform at the same level, of course, they would get the minimum wage. But so that's something that's happening. And there is also going to be later in the session a bit, some of the work that was authorized under House Bill 5001, I guess it was 2 years ago, including a proposal to change the requirements for qualifying for DSS services. So, I mean, there are individuals who don't meet the IQ criteria, which right now is the only criteria in Connecticut. So if you don't have the IQ below, I think it's 69, you are not eligible for DDS services, no matter how impaired you are, even if it happened at the time of birth or in your first 18 years. There are individuals who do need DDS type supports, not as intensively as most of our kids need, but they are eligible for very limited services or even no services. If they have autism, they get limited services from DSS under the autism waiver, but some people don't qualify for anything if they don't have autism. And there was a huge waiting list for the autism waiver, which they've made some progress on by providing more funding. I testified in support of looking at ways to widen the definition, but I did caution legislators that we do have a waiting list for services and that we have to be careful that we don't, even though the average person with the higher IQ would cost less, we have people waiting for services and we have very limited staff availability. So we don't want everything, we don't want to open the floodgates and blow everything up. But there is merit to that. There was a study done and that will be heard by public health coming up in the next few weeks. The only other bill I'll mention is, and I do have the number on this one handy, is House Bill 6066. It was submitted by Representative Jay Case from Torrington area, Torrington and Winsted, and he is one of the co-chairs of the IDD caucus. And this is a bill to review in the Government Oversight Committee the last audit done by the state auditors of DDS and to prepare recommendations for dealing with the issues in the auditor's report. So that has not been scheduled for a hearing as yet. It may not be scheduled for a hearing. It may just die if it's not brought up by like the middle of March. So that's pretty much what's happening. Pay attention to whatever source you use for getting information. And Family Hearing Day, or I guess now as they're calling it at the Capitol, IDD Family Day is this coming up on Tuesday. February 25th, and starting around 10 a.m. And people can go and register to speak when you arrive at room 2C. There's no electronic registration for that. So for that event, there are probably on the order of 30 to 40 legislators who have expressed an interest in supporting our population there. And it was founded by the ARC. The ARC is coordinating it again. So perhaps we'll see some of you there too. So, and I think it's probably the commissioner says to everyone on his management and management staff is keep calm, and there's a long way to go between now and June 30th. So this is just another step in the budget process, and there are a lot of proposals for bills. Some of them happen, some of them don't happen. Sometimes a bill takes 2 or 3 years to make any progress on it, and eventually, as you educate legislators, they get it, and they may give you a little piece of what you're looking for. So they are hearing us on the waiting list, and hopefully Mary Pat and the efforts that she's coordinating will help us have the staff so we can use those funds and help people, which I know is what Stacy and everyone else at DDS wants to do. So anyway, that's it.
Okay, and the next, Stacy's the open forum, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody for open forum? Anybody have any other questions?
Adriana?
You have your hand up.
I giggle because I never think I'm going to have a question, but I always have a question. Thank you, Rick, for all the information. And I might have missed it because I had a work thing happen. Do you know, or did you mention the HB 5002 concerning housing? I know they were doing
There was a
testimony
hearing
last week.
about a week ago on
Mhm.
some kind of housing bill. I know because a friend of mine submitted testimony on it. I think there is one more coming up, but I don't have the information on that one.
Yeah.
It was last
Oh.
Thursday. I testified.
The 13th,
virtually.
right? Yeah, I was just curious if there's
Yeah.
an update or if there's another opportunity, because I know Disability World is asking for legislative to be added to that bill regarding supportive housing.
Yeah. Well, and the person that I spoke to who submitted testimony was testifying about supportive housing. So you can always submit testimony after the fact. We don't know how many legislators read the testimony, how many of them watch the testimony that you give virtually or in person. There's no way of knowing how much they watch, how much they read, how much they understand or process it. But if we don't make an effort, then we're not going to get anywhere. So the efforts are paying off. We just need to keep them up.
Adriana?
I just wanted to
Anna?
ask Patricia, I put in chat earlier, but I wasn't sure. I asked if the AT&Me is still happening or is that done? Thank
I
you.
was just sitting here thinking I didn't mention AT&Me. So thank you very much for that. AT&Me is still going on. Those of you who aren't familiar with it, we created a curriculum and we have products that we purchased with the ARPA funding. And the products are, it's a bag. And it has a Chromebook in it. It has an iPhone. It has a hotspot, which gives internet. The hotspot and the iPhone will be activated the day the person takes the class. So they'll have service for 6 months. After the 6 months, individual would have to get their own service with another company or any company they want. There's also headphones, wireless headphones. There is a protective case, OtterBox for the phone, and there's also chargers inside of the bag. So individuals come, they learn how to connect everything and have everything talk to each other. and then they leave with a bag.
Awesome.
We had originally 600. We've made it through. We're almost at 500. Yeah.
Adriana?
Promise, last thing. It's not a question, it's more of a selfish plug invite to everyone to let everyone know that we had sent out a save the date for Connecticut Family Support Network's One Voice conference. And then we sent out a pre-notification so you can look at the link and sign up to receive a notification directly when registration is open. This is open to parents, caregivers, self-advocates, and professionals. We do put preference to parents, caregivers, and self-advocates before the professionals. And then we open it up afterwards, whoever signed up as a professional once a certain period, like 2 weeks before the event, to allow room for parents and caregivers, but that is a free event. So follow us on Facebook. It will also be the DDS newsletter, shares a lot of what we do. So I just wanted to share that. That's happening April 24th in North Haven from 9 to 2. Thank you.
Thank you. West Region, Shannon O'Brien raves about it. She says, you don't want to miss it. So thank you for reminding us here. Any other topics for open forum? Okay.
A motion to adjourn?
The Sellingers.
Okay,
Sounds good.
good.
Okay, we're good. Thank you, everyone,
Okay.
for attending this evening. And like I said, feel free to call Kim or myself if you have any additional comments or any topics that you would like us to get our DDS administrators and outside speakers as well. So please, definitely give us a call.
Thank you,
Okay.
everybody. Good night.
Stacy?
Oh, Tammy?
Just last
Thanks, Kim,
year,
and-
I saw you at the fashion show at the JCC. I just want to let you know it's coming up again on April 3rd, in case you didn't know.
Awesome. Everyone, if you have not attended the JCC fashion show, it is a wonderful event, a great group of teenagers that volunteer their times to help, individuals just like show off clothes. They walk the runway. There's great food. You have to come if you have not came before. I'll definitely, put something out as well. I'll be going back to the JCC this weekend, actually, finally, hopefully healed from my injury, because they invited me back to teach. So I will be there, starting this Sunday. So come out the Sellingers, come out anyone that wants to take a fun Zumba class. Okay.
Stacy, thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you
for coming.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.